So our next assignment is going to be the ThorHammer. So we're going to be basically the same thing we did in the basic workflow, the same thing we did in gears. Now we're going to be working on a little bit more modeling, a little bit more realistic type stuff, okay? I'm looking around the room. There's a lot of people who are forgetting to set their project. So make sure that you're, number one, creating a project if you haven't, and then number two, setting your project every day you come in. So just to reiterate that process, every new project you make, not new scene, so if I'm working on the gears 12 days in a row and I open up the same scene file, that's fine. If I start a new item, like I do gears and now we're doing Thor's hammer and the next we're doing cats and dogs, those are separate projects, okay? So I go to project window and I make a brand new project. So I say new. I put this into my folder, wherever my folder ended up being. Organize. There. 2520. And then I say select. And then I call this my last name underscore ThorHammer. And accept. Okay? So that gives me my ThorHammer folder, which was not there a second ago, and it gives me inside of it all of the corresponding folders that I need. I will use those folders throughout this entire project. I go to Save Scene As. Notice how it goes into the ThorHammer folder and goes into Scenes. And I will call this Arcona Hammer 01. Save everything in iterations. 01, 02, 03, whatever makes you happy, do that. We need to know what we're modeling. So if you're not familiar with Thor's hammer, there's Thor's hammer, okay? So what we want to do is model this. Now where this one becomes different, especially apart from a lot of yours that I've seen, is that we're going to be dealing with basically one item, one UV map, and then multiple textures on that UV map, okay? So multiple materials, multiple items on top of it. We also have some intricate designs like this. I don't want to have to model that stuff in there, and I'm probably not going to want to get a picture of it. I basically want to have that etched into there, so it's actually like a bump into it, okay? Cool. So the first thing to do is find plenty of images. I've seen Thor's hammer from several different views, so I know what it's going to look like. There's obviously different versions of this. I'm going to stick with something that's more traditional like that. Traditional, yep. Alright, so that's actually a pretty good image of what I want to do. Okay, even this little notch here, that could be something I model in, but I think I'll actually just do that inside the texture. So I'm going to start off just creating a cube. And this is where your modeling goes from amateurish to looking more professional. Okay, so looking at the shape of this, you'll see that there's definitely an indent where the base part of the hammer notches down into this area here. There's also this tapering that happens right there. Okay, and I need to make sure that I capture both of those things. That's important for this specific model. So the first thing I'm going to do is insert some edge loops. Okay, now if we were inside Cinema, or even any other program we could do this with, we would go to the input options and we could just start inputting some extra divisions, okay? So I could use edge loops and put edge loops right along it. So I can go to edge loops and do that and add these things the same way. But the nice thing about doing it here is that they're automatically evenly spaced. If I insert edge loops, they're not evenly spaced. I have to move them and line them up after, okay? So that's what I did. I just went to subdivisions, added that to 4. So that gives me this line here. It gives me that line there, which was the end. And then I have an extra middle line, okay? So I'm going to go and grab the face here, the face there, and I'm going to scale it down. When I scale it, I don't want to grab it here. That's the wrong direction. I don't want to grab it here because it's not grabbing it in the other direction. I don't want to grab it there because it's just that. I want to make sure that I grab this, and it might be hard to see, this red flat plane. Because when I do that, it scales it both directions so that it's nice and even. Okay? Then I can grab this edge, and push it out. Okay, so that looks like pretty good proportions right there. Good. Let's see what else. That's good. Okay. So now I'm going to go and grab these edges. I'm just shift clicking them. And then I'm going to add a bevel. So 0.25, does that look good? Yeah, that looks pretty good. And 0.2 would look better. Okay, so that works. I'm also going to take the bottom half of this and just push it down. It looks like it's a little bit taller than it is wider. So I'm going to leave it like that. These things come to a pinch right here. So that's where I can grab these points and just merge those together. And I'll just hit G on each one of these, so I marquee it. Hit G, and I marquee it, and hit G. And I go to the other side and do the same thing. So I'm just marqueeing each of these and just merging those to center. And again, a lot of these I shift right click, and I can get to any of those options that I need to get to. Okay. Now I want to put this little notch in right here. So I'm going to go to my faces. I'm going to grab all of these. Okay, that's where I want the notch to be. And I'm just going to extrude it up. I just go to extrude and just pull it out just a hair. That's all I need to do. If you haven't seen it yet, if you hold shift, you can actually extrude on an object. And this is like a new thing. The only downside is it doesn't seem to want to do the direction I want to go. Stupid. So I'm going to hit Control E, which is extrude, or I can shift right click and go to extrude, either way. And then I just grab the blue arrow and pull it out. Okay, so there is my base model for Thor's hammer. That looks good, good. I'll draw that in later. Cool. All right, so there's the head of it. I do want to put some bevels in here and start to clean some of this up a little bit. So let me go and grab, I think I can pretty much grab everything in here and add a bevel. So I just grab all of these and bevel it. I'm going to add 2 segments. Yep, that's good. Okay, and the reason I did that is so that if I wanted to, I could hit 3. And it'll smooth out the hammer even more before, if I didn't have that bevel on here. There we go. Segments 0. What? There we go. And I hit 3, I would lose the entire shape of the hammer. Okay? So I wanted to make sure that I had the bevels so that I would be able to do that. One more over. There you go, buddy. Okay, so there's the hammer head. Now I need to create this little cap up here. That's no big deal. I'm going to make a cylinder. And put that there. Okay. As many divisions as will go around to make this nice and smooth, that's what I want to put in there. So I go to my cylinder, and I crank those up to, let's say, 50. I also want to go to my edges, add again another bevel, and then I can probably even go through and delete this bottom face because we don't really need that. Again, the more stuff we can optimize, the better. Okay, it doesn't matter that it's actually not connected. We don't need it to connect. It's just sitting there. All right, cool. What else? We have the handle. So that will be, again, another cylinder. And this is where you want to start looking at proportions of things, because obviously you can get very far in this and then realize that it looks ridiculous. Like if you had this super short, not that you would go that short, but if you did have it that short, it would look weird. Or if you made it very long, but it's like very thick, that would again look weird. Okay, that looks like an appropriate size compared to this, maybe a little bit longer even. Yep, so that looks pretty good, maybe a little bit more there. Okay, so that's good. Notice how this is not rotated. I'm not posing this at all. Whenever you model something, model it as square as you can. Do all your UVs, do all your textures, and then at the very end, then you can lay it down and rotate it, move it around, and do whatever you want then, okay? But while you're modeling, keep everything like pretty much straight. All right, I need to create these things here. Now, an interesting point, I guess, to make on this is that in some of these, like this one, it actually feels like as it's spiraling around that there's these little dips in there. Okay, so like on this one, it has these dips. This one looks like it's just rings and the middle of the ring is dipped. This one looks like it's a spiral and the middle of the spiral is like dipped down. Okay, so again, it's an artistic way to kind of look at it. I'll show you both ways. So the simple way, I make a ring. I could use a torus if I wanted a soft ring like that. I could use a pipe if I wanted a harder ring like that. Again, if I use a harder ring, I'm still going to put a bevel around it, but that's what it would be. Okay. Lower my thickness, lower my height. That's good. That looks like a ring. Lower the radius on there. That's good. All right, and this one, it looks like it's, again, looking at the different things, this one is pretty ingrained inside the handle, whereas this one is pretty bumpy on the handle. Okay, so just things to keep in mind. 0.4, that looks pretty good. Maybe 0.42. Okay, 0.42 looks good. I'm going to go with 16 divisions here. Okay. Now looking at, again, where these little ribs happen, on this one it's happening on the side of the head. This one it's happening on the front of the head. Again, not something you need to be crazy like detail oriented to, but if you were making this for a movie, if you're making this for something where you're trying to get it 100% exact, you have to pay attention to those kinds of details. Obviously, if this is the one for the movie, we can see exactly which one they used, the one that goes along the head of this. So that's what I'm going to do for this. So I have my ring. I'm going to go to vertices, and I'm just going to marquee these vertices here and pull them down a bit. Then if I use Shift greater than on the keyboard, it goes out one row each, and then I can pull that down too. Okay, so that gives me the look of having those little dips inside there. Now once I go through and I add my bevels here and here, where are you at? There you go. 0.2, 2 segments, that's good. And then I hit 3. Now we have these nice dips just like we saw in the other one. And again, because we don't need them, I can delete those interfaces. Okay, this is the isolate select. It's a nice tool to be able to pick on something and then isolate that specific item. All right, so now for this, very easily I can just Control D, scoot it down, hold Shift, and then tap D a bunch of times. There we go. So now we have that one. This is the ring one. Okay, if I wanted a spiral one, I would go to Create Polygons, Helix. I would change my subdivisions to, nope, 6, 7? Maybe 6. Change my radius, change the number of coils, change the height. That's too many coils. 15, that's good. Less coils, 12. All right, that's good. And in both of these instances, I've taken the subdivisions down. If my subdivisions are too high and I start grabbing vertices and moving them, what's going to happen is there's going to be a very like abrupt change and it's going to look funky. With this at 50, let me just duplicate it so you can see. If I go in here and grab this and I move it, you can obviously see there's this huge dip right there. Then I would have to be a little bit more subtle with how I go out and grab this and smooth it out. So I just keep all my stuff really simple. I'm going to grab this here and Control backspace it. Anytime you delete an edge, Control backspace or Edit Mesh, delete edge. Okay, the reason is, if you remember, if you were in cinema, if you delete a face or you delete an edge, it sometimes clears off the points, sometimes it doesn't. Maya never does, unless you hit Control Backspace. Okay, cool. So now this is, I can also get rid of this. Actually, these faces on the inside we don't need. Come on. There we go. So we don't need anything on the inside. That's just wasted geometry, so we can get rid of that. All right, so now you can see how this is more coily than the other one was. And then I would do the exact same thing. Oh, man. In the midst of my demonstration, I forgot to take those subdivisions back down. Let's do that again. Here, here, here. 20, I don't know, maybe 16. That's good. Okay. So now we can delete that. Now we can delete this. All right, and then to select all these, I'll just go to the top view. And I just marqueed the points straight down the line. And then I can just push it down, shift greater than, push it down. And then when I smooth it, I'll get that same kind of soft, or that same ring, but now it's a spirally type ring. Okay, so it's all in a matter of what you want to do. If you want to improve your modeling skills, I would say make sure you can do both, because at some point you may come up with something that you need to do that. I like the way this one turned out. I'm just going to stick with that one. Okay. Also, all of these rings that are right here, I duplicated them. I should actually lay out the UVs on one of these and then reduplicate them, because that'll just save me a buttload of time later. Okay. So I'm just going to delete the ones I don't need. Gone. And save that. Okay. He has a little handle on this side. Okay. So that's no big deal. I'm going to create another cylinder. Notice how everything I'm modeling, I'm starting off with a basic object and then going from there. I'm going to actually build this one at 8. I think that'd be good. Get rid of my caps. And then I'm going to delete that piece. Okay, so 8 divisions around. I deleted the caps on one side. And the reason I went with 8 here is so that I can very easily manipulate the surface. If you look at what that looks like, it kind of loops in and then comes around. And again, the whole area, the dip part, is on the hammer head side. And that's what I've modeled mine to be. I also need to shrink this in because it's like way too big. There you go. And then I'll go into this and pull these up. All right, so that should be good. So now I'm going to grab my faces here and switch to bevel. Let's add some segments. That's good. I'm going to extrude this. Push it in some. Don't worry that it's black right there. If I go to my lighting and I say two-sided lighting, it'll make it gray again. Whoops. And then again, bevels all over the place. And now when I smooth it out, that's what it's going to look like. So that looks pretty close to what he had. If I wanted that to be tighter, I would actually go through this area here and just put in another bevel right there. And that would tighten up that area. 2 divisions, 0.2. And then it would come down further. Here's the with that bevel. Here's it without. So you can see the difference right there. I actually think I do like it with the bevel. 0.2. Okay. All right, so that works good. Last little bit here, we have this piece of leather that wraps around. For that, guess what I'm going to use? Guess what I'm going to use? Cylinder. For most of this, I've used cylinders. For like 20 of the objects here, I've used cylinders. So I'd use a cylinder again. Look at the shape of it, right? So the way that I do this is I look at the shape of it and I try to find some way to kind of break down which shape it is. Okay, regardless of whether it's a solid cylinder or just a band or whatever, it's a cylinder. right? It's just kind of lopsided. So that's why I'm using that, is so I can do that, okay? Subdivisions, I'm going to keep these kind of on the lower side, so 12. Take my caps down. Delete these two caps here. And now I can just kind of place this there and go like that. Maybe a little bit thicker. Maybe a little bit smaller. Cool. And then I want to shape this, so I'm going to move it around. As I move it, look at how it's going to, allow me with this few amount of points, I can very easily shape this into what I want. Now, this isn't something that I would do after the fact. If I have a material on here and I start moving these points around, it's going to start stretching or squashing my texture. So I need to do this now before I take this into Substance or any of that other stuff. And if I grab more than 2, I can rotate them. Okay, if I hit 3, I can see what it's going to look like all smoothed out. I think these probably need to come down some. All right, that looks pretty good.
Combine that shape with the other?
I would not. I would leave them all separate. If this was going to be something I was going to use in a game, maybe it's an asset sitting on the table, then I would combine everything into one shape, but I would not need to do that, no. It's a good question. I'm going to extrude, so I'm pulling this out. Then I'm going to add, that's too thick. Then I'm going to add some bevels around the edges. Sweet. So there's our ThorHammer. I'll probably save this. Okay. So, how many pieces do I have here? 6 pieces. That's all it took for this specific piece. Obviously, these pieces will be duplicated, so I'll duplicate those in a minute. Now we do the UV layout. And again, don't make this any harder than it has to be. A lot of objects are going to be automatic or planar or cylinder. Very rarely would I ever use spherical. Most of them you're going to use the same thing of unfold and layout, unfold and layout. Cut some stuff, unfold and layout. If it helps, use that isolate button. That way you can see exactly what you're working on. For something like this, the UVs are probably already laid out. If I go to UV editor, you'll see there's a cylinder and there's a plane. So one of these is the top of this, the other one is this piece. So when I go to my shell, oops, before I get any further, I need to freeze my transforms. There we go. When I go to shell and I grab this and I go to unfold, I make sure this is cranked up and I apply it. And you'll see, there it is. It's already laid out. I didn't have to do any extra projections. I didn't have to do anything. Because I started with the cylinder, it was already set up to go. So you look here, everything is square the way it should be. Now this item, let me turn the image off. This item obviously spanned across several tiles, which we don't want. Everything will be in one tile at the end. This is way too long. I need to cut it down so that's smaller. Before we did this, we would go into the edge, we would double click, and then we would go up to shift right click and say cut. Okay, so that's one way you could do it. We've seen that. You can also go to tools and go to the cut tool. What this will do is when you double click, it automatically cuts your stuff for you. Okay, so I go to cut and I go boop boop and it cuts. And then I scroll up a little bit further and I go boop boop and I go doo doo, and right about there. Cool. So now all of those are cut. So now if I was going to, I would go to unfold again, and we'll see that it looks exactly the same. It won't change until I actually do a layout. It's already unfolded. Everything's already flat the way it should be. It's just not laid out correctly, okay? So this isn't going to matter. It's going to be changed later, but just so you can see it. 4096, preserve 3D ratios. 4096, 5 and 5. And of course I could have done an orient also just to make sure everything's straight. There we go. Much bigger pieces now, much better. Okay, like I said, it doesn't matter because it's going to change anyway. So then I would go to my next piece. Doesn't matter which piece you go to, they all have to be done. This one I know is not laid out. A cube is horribly laid out to begin with, especially with how we get these other pieces. So you'll see that there's stuff. Oh no, you didn't. Hey, let me save this again. There we go. You'll see that there's like weird cuts right here, weird cuts right there. In this case, I would actually use the automatic because this is going to lay it out pretty good to what I need it to be. In certain spots, like way over here, it did a horrible job of laying it out, but that's fine. I know it's going to do stupid stuff like that. I just want to see what it's going to do first. Okay, so once it does it, then I'm going to grab my edges, and I'm just grabbing all of these just to see where they're at. Most likely, they're just going to be inside things. So if we look at this, here's a couple of those edges right there, just sitting inside that area. So if I were to go here and say move and sew, I see nothing horrible happened. I have 6 big shapes. Those 6 big shapes didn't converge on themselves. They're still in the 6 big shape areas. So now I can grab these pieces and do the same thing. And again, nothing horrible happened. They popped in right into the middle of them. I assume that's what was going to happen, so it's good. So now I can grab these, go to unfold. It adjusts them, if you see before and after. Watch right here, see the stretching? Now it's nice and square. Okay. Then I could do a layout again, but it's not going to matter. At the end, I'm going to do a layout on top of everything. So I'm just going to leave it. Here's the hammer part, or the handle part. Again, they're laid out. It's a cylinder, so let's let it do it. I don't need this top face, so I can delete that. I do not need the bottom face either. Let's get rid of that. Oops. So it's not going to be a huge change here. Just unfold. Boop. There it is. All right. There's my ring. This one started off as a pipe. Don't know how the pipe stuff is going to lay out. Let's just find out. Most likely, I'm going to need to adjust some stuff. Yes. Okay. So what this looks like it's doing anyway. Maybe it's not. No, I actually did a really good job of doing that. Well done. Well done, pipe. All right. So we'll just leave them alone. Now we go to this piece. Okay, this one started off again as a cylinder. I tweaked the shape. And again, because it started off as a cylinder, the shape was not radically different than what it started off as. Originally, it was a cylinder, and now it's a cylinder with a dip and the top cut off. That's not a huge difference. This one will probably need some extra work. If you get this message, just say always fix. And there it is. Okay, so definitely needs some more work here. You can see how this just looks hideous like that. So I need to cut some stuff. This one started off as a cylinder, and we shaped it and then extruded it in, and that's why it looks disgusting. Now, if I go into this, let me isolate this again. And I delete the inside faces, like that. That should fix it. Didn't fix it perfectly, but it did do better. All right. So let me just go along this edge right here, and that should have grabbed it all the way around, and it did. Good job. And we will go and cut that and unfold it. Much better. See? Not a big deal. Bottom's good. That part's good. Cool. Here's our ring. Again, we'll probably have to tweak some stuff on here, but let's just unfold it and see what happens. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. I'm looking for squareness. I'm looking for distortion. Definitely something going on right there. I don't really like that. Just for my own sanity in this. I'm just going to cut those edges there because I know they probably should be. And then unfold it again. Let me make sure that my stuff, yeah, that's good. I don't know why it's still kind of like distorted right there. Yeah, you'll see there's definitely something weird going on right there. It might even be just the angle that I have this thing rotated. So if I orient this correctly, nope, it definitely is still looking weird. Why are you looking weird? Oh, I hit 3, that's why. So I was still smoothed out, so I was in 3 mode. So going back to 1, now it's nice and smooth the way it should be, okay? All right, and let me see this pretzel here. What's going on? I'm just going to jump across there and jump across here. And just cut those. Yep, and they're unfolded, so they're not going to go anymore. That's as much as it wants to go. So I guess I'll just leave those where they are. All right, so now everything should be unfolded. It's exactly like flattened out as much as it's going to get flattened out. I can do a double check. Yep, everything's good. Okay. So now before I do my layout, I know that I need them to be smooth. They're not smooth right now. If I were to go through the whole substance part, I get this texture to look perfect on there, and then I bring it back on here, it's going to look exactly like it looked in substance, but then I'm going to hit 3 to smooth it out, and then it's going to look horrible, because if you look at the edges here, do you see how those are moving? My texture would then move. It'll actually like stretch in those areas, and it'll be really obvious. So whatever I want my end geometry to look like, I have to make sure it looks like that before I go into substance. So to set that aside, I'm going to save iteration 2 here. I'll save first, yes. Then I will save as iteration 2. So I'm doing that because once I smooth it, there's no going back, okay? But I did save a backup, so I could actually go back. Smooth. And just because this is a high-res image, I may actually go up 2 divisions on here. 2 divisions on there, so that's extra smooth. All right, so that looks pretty good. Then I'm going to take my bands and duplicate them. Shifty, 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 shifty. That worked out pretty perfect. That's awesome. Sweet. Okay, delete history again. That's why I made you have a shelf that says delete history, because you'll be doing it all the time. All right, so now we have all of our pieces. Now I can go to my UV shell. I can grab all my stuff. I don't need to do an unfold. Everything's already unfolded. Well, I guess I should do an unfold just to be safe. Just in case I missed something or there was an adjustment. Okay, I don't see a big change. Now we'll go to layout. Oops. Now we'll go to orient first. There we go. And then we'll go to layout, 4096, off, preserve 3D ratios, 5.5, 4096, layout UVs. Okay, so this is going to then take my hammer pieces and put them all into one square. The idea with this is that I'm going to show, obviously, how we can take this thing and bring it into Maya again, or render it inside of other programs. But I also want you to see how we could also take this and bring it into a gaming engine, so you can then see how we could then walk around this object, because that would be an awesome thing to be able to do. Cool. Nicely packed. I could adjust some things. I could move some stuff around. I think overall it's pretty good. You always want to do a double check and see, are there any spots I could delete? Is there some face I don't need? Something that's just taking up extra room. I could go here and delete all these faces on the inside. That would save me like this much room, so not a huge deal. I literally could just go like that. Well, I want to do it neat, so I go like that. Can't go one more, nope. So I could go like that and just delete it, and that would get rid of all those faces on the inside, and that would save me just a little bit of room on the UV map. I don't know, maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I could do the same thing up here if there was any faces sticking through. I think for the most part I've optimized this as much as I can for what we're doing. Okay. So now I want to take this. I'm going to save this. Yes, cool. Delete history. I want to organize this, and then I want to give it some colors, and then bring those objects into Substance. So this is the part that's going to be a little bit different. So let's see. This is the hammerhead. This is the hammerhead cap. This is my handle. This is my ring. And here's a little hack for you. I'm going to just give this another name like that. Perfect. If I grab all of these, there is this hidden menu right here. And if you go to this little arrow that's hidden and you change this to rename, you could type something in like ring. Boom. And it renames them all for you. So quick. Now, what sucks about it is I always forget, like, how do I get it to rename it correctly? Because if you looked at that naming, the first one was not numbered. It was ring and then ring 1. That annoys me. So I have to make sure that I call this ring 1. There we go. Okay. I've done it before, and it'll do sometimes ring 1_1_2, and that just doesn't make sense. So, whatever. Cool. Handle cap. Strap. Okay. So that's cool. I'm just going to group some things here. Rings. All right, that works. All right, so I'll save this again. Perfect. All right, so in Substance, I want to texture certain things a different way. The handle is going to be one material. The rings will be a different material. The head will be a different material. The strap will be a different material, and so on. Okay. I don't know yet what I want to texture these things as. So what I'm going to do is give like items a different material. Okay. So what I mean by that is hammerhead will get one material. The cap will get another material. The handle will get another one, the cap will get another one, the strap will get another one, and all the rings, because of the same thing, will get a different one, okay? So I'm going to go to lighting and shading, assign new material, or favorite, it's under there too. What? There you go. And under Maya surface, there's one called a surface shader. Okay, so if I click on one of these rings now, what are you doing to me, Maya? Come on. There it is. Doesn't matter what I call this. I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to give it a random color, so red. Perfect. Then I go to the next one. Lighting and shading, assign favorite material, surface shader. Oh, we're hitting our limit, aren't we? Yes, we are. There's yellow. There's this piece. And I'm just hitting G to redo that command of assigning the material. And for some reason, it wants me to click on this load every time. Even though it says auto load, whatever. So I'm hitting G to redo the material assignment, loading my attributes here so that I can actually see what they are. Going to this. And I have, I think, a perfect number of materials. Oops. There we go. Cool. All right, so everything has a different color. So I'll again save this as. Not that I couldn't go back, but why not? Okay. So now I'm going to export this out just like we've done before. Okay, so I saved it as an OBJ. I'm just going to show the first part of this today, and then I'll show the other part of this next week, okay, the more detail-oriented part. I will allow access to Substance. Substance. There we go. All right, so same thing here, new project. Pick the same template. I don't have any glass, so I'm going to go with a regular HQ. This PC, deorganize here, there. ThorHammer. I'm still organized. See, everything's nice and organized here. Scenes, ThorHammer. We do not need to click this. We only have one tile. We did not separate this into multiple tiles, so we're good there. This is fine there. All right, everything is good. So hit OK. All right, so here are all my objects. Hold the phones for a second. All right, click the wrong button. Create a texture set per UDM tile. So I do need to click that maybe. Wasn't it? Yes, I do want to click that, but not because of that one reason. Okay, so just so you can see what happened there. If I don't check that box, notice over here, just like the previous one, it gives me a texture set per material. Okay, so I created 6 materials inside of Maya, and it has 6 materials. I don't want to deal with that. Okay, what I want to do is have all my materials on one thing, and I will control that stuff later. So I click that so that it does use one texture set, but all my stuff is on one layout, just like that. Okay. Now here is the part that is going to be different. When I go to bake textures under ID, I'm going to use the material color. Okay, that should work. Yes. Hue shift, that should be fine. And then I'm just going to turn the other ones off and just turn ID on just so I can verify that one. Okay, so I hit B, B, B. Oops. All right, so I did B and then got to ID, and you'll see that it's black. Okay, so that was not right. So let me go back to ID. Oops. I need to click this use high as low. That's probably what I forgot to click. Nope, that wasn't it either. Okay. It was the other option, which I thought it might be, which is mesh ID. And bake. There we go. Okay, so what this does is it takes every single one of our items, and it assigns a material or a ID to each one of those. Okay. Now inside Maya, we'll learn later, not for this specific one, we'll learn later how to export these colors out so they actually come in, and we'll have all of those items grouped. For now, though, that works. Okay. So this is important because this will allow us to assign materials to specific items. Am I missing one, or is he just the same color? He's the same color but backwards. I actually think this one here, remember that two-sided lighting? I don't want to see my materials. Use default. There we go. Remember this one was black? So I need to go to mesh display reverse. There we go. Because it was actually inside out. So let's do that again. Yes. Go back to project configuration, re-click ThorHammer, hit OK. Go back to bake textures. Yes. And now he has his own little button there. Okay. So this is how this is going to be a bit different. Okay. Let me bake all my textures. We need to be able to assign different materials to different items inside of our scene. If you go to any of these smart materials, you could actually paint smart materials onto your objects. Okay, that's kind of a neat thing that you could do. Typically, you don't need to do that, or I've never found a real reason to paint that on there specifically, but you could. What we're going to be doing is creating masks, just like we would inside of like Photoshop. So I go to my smart material, and let's say that I want a wood texture. And I'm just going to grab whatever. So I'm just going to grab this wood and drop it onto here. Okay, so just like you would expect, the entire thing is made of wood now. Okay, I need only one item to be wood, which is the handle. In this case, I want the handle to be made of wood. So I'm going to go here and put a black mask on it. Okay, now when I put that black mask on it, what it does is it eliminates this item from being shown. Okay, whatever's black is not visible, and whatever is white is. So I need to then fill in this area with white where I want it to be white. Now I could go in with the paintbrush. I could go grab one of these brushes and start painting this and making it white just like we would do in Photoshop, but again, that's kind of like the long way to do it. They make this button here, which is a fill button. which will actually go through and allow us to pick items, and it'll automatically fill that item with white or whatever color we've chosen. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the mask, which I am. I make sure I'm clicked on this polygon fill. I make sure I'm clicked on the mesh fill, and make sure I'm painting white. And so now what should happen is that when I click the handle, it fills that handle in with white, meaning that it's going to be that wood texture. Boop. There it is. Sweet. Okay. I'm going to turn my wireframe off. That's kind of annoying to see, isn't it? Display settings, viewer settings. There we go. Just turn that off. Okay. So that works. Now let's do something else. So I want a silver. So I drop silver. Don't drop it on here. It'll put it inside that group. Don't drop it down here. It'll also put it inside that group. Drop it onto layer 1. Okay. Because it's on top, it overwrites all the stuff that we just did. So we just do the same thing. We add a black mask. I go to my polygon fill. I make sure I'm on mesh fill. I make sure I'm on white. And I click the object I want to be that material. Okay. And I think I'll also, no, I'll do something else different there. All right. Now I'll grab another one. Now you can customize these too. I'm just dropping these in for the sake of speed here. Actually, let me go to leather. That's a cool one. Okay, drop this on. Fill with black. Click that. Go to gold. Put a black mask on it. Click there. Click there. And this is what's cool too, is very quickly you can say, you know, what would this look like with all of these? You could also go over here. And because my UVs are laid out where I can actually see what each piece is, I can just click on them and it works. All right. Sweet. So there's our basic ThorHammer. So next class I'll show how I added those extra details where I can have this stuff etched into it, this stuff etched into it, these little things etched into it. We don't need to do it for this one, but you could definitely get into doing this kind of thing too. A lot of this is based off of black and white maps. So I'm going to have to, if I wanted to paint this, I need a black and white image of where I want that to be painted. I'm going to have to find a black and white image of something that looks like this pattern. That way I can paint it right in there, okay? Awesome. So, of course, you save your substance stuff to the appropriate areas. And if you're not sure what those are, make sure you go to the right folders like I'm not doing. There we go, there we go. ThorHammer. And I like to save these inside of either scenes or inside of source images. I'll actually save this inside of scenes. Sweet. Okay. So once you're done with the gears, you can start getting onto this. Also think about how you want that final composition to come. Our first one, it was a throw together, just like let's see the process. The second one, let's do it again. The third one now, we're actually trying to create something that looks more than just I understand the techniques. Okay. So thinking about Thor, maybe you want to do some investigation, Wikipedia, read a book, whatever. Figure out if you can add anything else to this that would look cool inside the scene. Not talking about modeling his entire house. I'm talking about something simple that you could throw next to it, right? So let's say, just as an example, don't steal my idea. But Thor is very, always wears that red cape, right? So if Thor's hammer is sitting in a pile of rubble and we see his red cape there, then we get a storyline of, hey, something's going on, right? So you could steal that if you wanted to. So think about different ways that you could then take this project and add something to it that makes it your own and pushes your skills to know these. If you haven't caught on yet, the first assignment, the second assignment, and what I've just done here, we've modeled stuff, we've laid out the UVs, we've textured stuff, and then we'll be rendering it. Guess what the next project we're going to be doing? Same exact thing, okay? So get used to these processes, and not only used to them, but working quickly with them. Being able to go in there, and as quick as I was able to say, okay, cylinder, probably already laid out, boom. Cube, probably need to do some work. Cylinder, blah, 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 okay? Be able to move around quickly. Don't get stuck on the fine details of it. Just try something, see if it works. If it doesn't, then try something again. Cool? All right, questions? No? Awesome.